We're good. We are
Hi,
recording.
everyone.
What up, yo?
Um, tea at
Well,
the blue table.
yes, yes, yes. Welcome.
Welcome to Campus Life's first Tea at the Blue Table episode. We're all rocking our signs, our tea, hot and cold.
Mine's hot, but you know what I'm saying? We in there.
Our first episode where we're going to talk about real life and relevant issues. We're so glad that you're tuning in with us. It's hot today, y'all.
Man. Is it hot today?
It's
Feels
hot.
amazing inside my house.
Next
I
time I'm
agree.
going some sweet tea, not hot tea.
My sister made us some sweet sun tea. Oh, we got 2 large bottles of it. This stuff is good.
I'm actually drinking turmeric detox balance tea. That's one of my go-tos. So bam, that's what I got in my Batman cup, my infamous Batman cup. And that's what we drinking today over my side. And I got my pineapples.
To introduce ourselves, because we might have some guests who don't know who we are or what we're about. So maybe we should start off with some introductions. I can go first.
I'll let the ladies go first.
I'm the Campus Life Development Coordinator at the Charleston campus. I'm so excited to sip this tea with y'all today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Robledo. I'm the Campus Life Coordinator at the Henderson campus, and I'm excited to have my sweet tea this morning with you.
And good morning, everyone. It's your boy Sean Toy, the Campus Life Development Coordinator for the North Las Vegas campus, right aside of the north. So, I got my detox tea. We up in here with my pineapples, and we finna get fun and have good times today. So thank y'all for joining us today, and let's kick this thing off officially. Thank y'all.
So we chatted about what our first topic would be, and we think, how could we avoid talking about COVID-19, the coronavirus? We're all affected. That's why we're doing what we do right now in this virtual environment, is because of COVID-19. And so we hope y'all will watch it in the comments, talk about what's impacting you with COVID-19 as we talk about how it's impacting us and our work and our families. Anyone want to start off and share what is going on?
So I think it's relevant to talk about today's news. My dad woke me up this morning to tell me that Las Vegas made the national news because the city of Las Vegas has started talking about reopening the city. Right now, I think we're definitely in a very crucial time, and it's scary to think that our city might be opening up and people going back to work. Our lives are so precious, and right now we have policies and orders to protect us. And the thought of our family, our friends going back to work, yes, it might be necessary, like incomes are necessary, but it scares me for our friends, our family, our students, that we might be opening up our city soon.
Yeah, I read an article. I don't know if it was on Facebook or where I saw it, but it was about the Wynn Resort. And they were talking about, if we opened, what it would look like. So reduce occupancy. So yeah, they're going to open, but not bringing in as many people as can actually occupy the hotels and the resorts. And then another thing they talked about was temperature check. I'd like to know how you're going to do that. Is it everyone who comes to the door, they're going to take their temperature? What does that look like? And what does it look like for those who refuse to have their temperatures taken? If I paid my reservation online and booked a room and I don't want you to take my temperature, am I going to be refused service? How does that look? So I'm eager to see how that all plays out.
My sister's an essential worker, and yesterday at her job, they started doing temperature checks. So she gets her temperature read every morning, and I think that's very interesting.
I mean, I can honestly say because my mother is someone who's worked in the casino. She's worked at Harris Casino for the past 30 plus years, longer than me, and I've been alive, right? And it's to the point after all those years, she now has to use her PTO just so she can get a paycheck until they open back up. If not, then they have to go back. They have to go to not go back, but they have to go to unemployment. But when they do open up, she's one of the first lines they hire back up. But it's like, man, after all those years, you're pretty much telling people it's time to go. And it's unfortunate because I have a lot of friends right now that are really struggling because they've been trying to file for unemployment, and it's been rough because the system, the website itself hasn't been able to sustain for all those people who are unemployed. And it went from 6 million now to 12 million people who are unemployed at the moment, and that's going to really hit the economy. The economy is going to hit, and it's sad because and I'm not sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but I do watch the stock market. I do watch the market. I was looking into buying a home again because I own the condo I'm in now, and I'm like, man, the market is a little shaky. I don't know what's gonna happen. I had no clue that the coronavirus is gonna be the reason or the cause for the economy to take back down again. So it's crazy what's going on because my mom is fine right now, but by next Friday, because next Friday's May 1st, is she gonna go back to work? Or her and other friends or any of our friends have a job that's essentially essential because we're blessed enough to work at a job or careers where if the economy's good or the economy's bad, we're blessed. We're good anyway. We're gonna still work. That's thankful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where do we what? And that's kind of the conversation I have for you guys. Like, who's affected? I know your sister's essential worker, and what's going on with your family? Like, what's going on? Because I know a lot of friends and students are struggling right now.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to be in a household where my mom and I. So, for our viewers, I'm not originally from Vegas. I'm originally from California. And through COVID-19, I got permission to come back home. And so California is my home. And being able to come home and not be alone in Vegas is truly a blessing. And I'm very lucky that I'm in a household where my mom and I have the privilege to work from home. So we are sharing our workspace, and it's fun. In all my years, I don't think my mom and I have worked together, but I have gone to work with my mom. And so we're both working in the field of education. She is a high school counselor, and I work in higher ed. So that's amazing. Both my dad and my sister are essential workers, so they still wake up every morning to go to work. So it's very different in our household. But the way we're affected is because we have essential workers in our family, we aren't. My mom limits our visits to our grandparents' house. So if we go to our grandparents' house, it's legit taking groceries to drop off. But we can't go hang out with them. And for those that know me, truly know me, know that family is everything to me. And I don't have the opportunity to hang out with family. And that's really hard.
Man.
So in my family, I'm like all of y'all. I'm working from home in higher ed. My husband works for the Department of Family Services, and so he's considered essential. He helps kids in foster care and families affected by that situation, and so he's out visiting homes, making sure those vulnerable populations are still safe where they're at. So he's out and about and doing that on a regular basis. My extended family, so like my mom, my stepdad, my sister, they all live in California. And my parents, they're essential workers, so they're both in the medical field. My mom's been a nurse my entire life, so over 40 years. My stepdad, just as long. He's a respiratory therapist. And so they're out on a regular basis in medical facilities helping people. And so my sister, she used to be a nurse. Now she works on more of the back end. She does works with the industry that supports nurses, but she's very familiar with nursing. But she comes in and she's like, we have a routine. You take off your clothes in the garage, put it in a plastic bag. She sprays them down with this spray fabric disinfectant. They can't come in the house until they've gone through this whole ritual to try to kill some germs, and then straight to the shower. So she's often scolding my mom. My mom's in that age group that makes her more high risk. But she is not. Some nurses, they're the worst ones who obey rules. So my mom, she wants to be out in the streets, running here, there, doing whatever she can to be out the house. And my sister's like, stay home. But she just doesn't listen. And then it's like, and you left without a mask on? Oh my goodness. So that's what's going on in my household. I wish I should have brought my mask. I have a mask that matches my skirt that my husband had made for me. But that's another topic about these masks. I've been hearing so many mixed messages from different sources that talk about if you leave the house, you should wear a mask. And then other folks were like, if it's not one of those I don't know what it's even called, the really serious mask.
The medical mask.
Like the surgical type. That it's not even worth it because the particles are so small, they're going to get through fabric. So I don't know. What's y'all's thought on this? To mask or not to mask? That's the question.
I have a mask. I don't know if you saw my recent picture that I kind of made my profile. I got mine the same as dashiki print as that. I think it's the same. Dashiki print as that one. But I'm gonna still wear a mask regardless because that fabric is real good fabric, especially if you get real authentic dashiki print. And I had somebody who got that fabric from Nigeria, so that's why I was like, man, I'm cool. I'm gonna use it regardless. That's just how I personally feel because I'm out here every Saturday. My girlfriend and we go out and hand out bags to disabled veterans, to the homeless, to folks and families in need. And we do that every Saturday. And another thing about it too, if you're out in the sun, if you at least get sun contact, it lessens the chance of you actually catching anything. So that's just how I personally feel. Whatever. I'm gonna wear my mask regardless.
So here in my county, so where my family lives, it is actually a misdemeanor if you are out in public without a mask. So if you do not have a mask out while in public, so when you leave your property, you can get $1,000 fine or 90 days in jail. Yes.
What?
Yes.
$1,000?
$1,000 fine. So that is something that the county is doing to combat COVID-19. So I jokingly said, like, if I'm going to throw out trash, will I get in trouble? My mom's like, no, like you can be on your own property and throw out trash without a mask. But now every car has a mask for each person in the family. My mom has a mask for me. My personal car has a mask for me. And so anywhere we go, even through the drive-thru, we have to wear a mask.
So even inside your car, because right now I wear a mask when I go out, but as soon as I get in my car, I take the mask off. So you're saying out there, even when you're driving, you have to wear it?
Not while we're driving. So while we're driving, we're in our own personal space. But if we go through like the drive-through, so my sister and my mom love coffee, and we make coffee at the house, but my mom has a particular kind of coffee that she likes. So once a week we'll stop and we'll get some coffee just to like splurge and like feel normal. So when we go through the drive-through, we have to put the mask on since we're in contact with people.
Yeah. How are y'all feel about gloves? Are you wearing gloves when you leave the house?
I'm only when I'm passing out food to the homeless. But honestly, I got hand sanitizer right in the car. Like, but other than that, no, I'm not really wearing gloves like that. I mean, because I even caught it. Just all full disclosure, I caught a cold during this whole thing, and it's not because of COVID. It's because it's like whatever the season changes, I always catch a cold. And I don't know, and I hate that. It's like, man, I always try to avoid it, but no matter what happens, when the season changes, I catch a cold. And I stay at the crib, and I that's why I barely, if y'all know me, I don't ever really call off work. So I always come. But if I'm like now, I'm just like, yeah, let me make sure I take these extra precautions. I don't have COVID, thank God. I got tested and all that. Even when I got the cold, I was like, man, I pray that I don't got it. I didn't. But it's those things like that where it's like, man, I'm afraid to catch a cold now, because if I catch a cold, then it's taboo.
Does it make you paranoid? Because I know for me, I've been paranoid. Every little tickle that I get, there was a few days where I had a sore throat. I was like, is this a symptom? Do I got it?
Yeah.
Should I go to the doctor?
I was nervous a little bit. I wasn't really worried too much because I looked up the symptoms. I was like, I really don't have the symptoms. I just have a cold. And I really didn't psych myself out. Like when I got the cold, I stayed away, Lysol everything down. A couple days later, I was fine. Like nobody got sick. My girlfriend didn't get sick. So I didn't play into that fear of like, oh my God, this, that, and third. But I did take the extra precautions I needed to make sure I was okay. Because I know I got my little ones every other day. You know what I'm saying? Every 2 or 3 days I got my kids. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, I love how we got this tea at the blue table. Let's go.
I got my blue table too, y'all.
So with the changing of the seasons and the scare of COVID-19 and having that, it's also allergy season. So I know that like this is definitely affecting people that have allergies. The cutting of the grass, you get the little sniffles and the cough and the sore throat. So like the symptoms of having allergies can sometimes freak individuals out into having COVID. And so I know that take your allergy medicine. We take it every morning so that we don't have the sniffles and the cough.
Yes, because the worst thing is being in the grocery store. Y'all, I can't believe the look that I see people give. Don't be the person that sneezes in the store or cough, because it's like every person turns around and gives you like this death look, like you just spread COVID to us. It's people, and our nose, we get tickles. We have a tickle in our throat. We got a cough, but now we're so on high alert every time someone does anything that's coughing, sneezing, clearing your throat. People are just really afraid right now.
Yeah. Then there's that small population that does it on purpose. My sister and I went grocery shopping, and there were some teenagers in the grocery store buying like a cake and some flowers. So they're probably going to go see their friend, and they were walking up and down the store coughing and like laughing and looking around. I was like, this isn't a time to joke about this. This is a serious matter. But you are out here perpetuating that fear and being a punk about it.
Yeah, don't be that person. Don't be that person.
Yeah.
Because for someone, it's really serious. I have a friend who has MS, and talking with her and just the immense fear that she has when she leaves her house because her immune system is compromised. And for her, she feels like this is really life or death, and where other people just take it lightly and it's just a game, like the levels of precaution her family's taking to keep her safe just shows like, hey, for people, it's really serious. I can't tell you, several times just on my Facebook feed, I've had people say, hey, I just lost my grandma to COVID-19.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I haven't, been impacted in my family, but there are people that I know whose family members have died from the virus.
Yeah, I've had a friend.
It's really hurtful when people are like, it's whatever.
Nah, it's nothing to be played with. No, I have a close personal friend who is actually now our colleague. She lost one of her family members to COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit home for a lot of people. Because I remember at first, like, even being in the offices, students weren't really taking it that serious. They're like, oh, people are overreacting. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, and I will say for our generations, we've seen a lot these past years between the 90s, the early 2000s, some 80s. We've seen a lot. And for this to happen, for Vegas to ever, even for Vegas to shut down, that's a big, like, oh, this is serious. We've never had something this big to where we shut down. Not even the World Trade Center. When that happened, nothing shut down. Everything kept going, but it did put a pause on the world for a quick moment.
Yeah. We've definitely had to pause, and just seeing the different ways that people are impacted, like it makes me count my blessings. Like I continue to work. My kids are here, they're safe. My husband continues to work. When things first shut down, I had some time with one of my good friends, and her husband works in the casinos. He's one of the cooks, and they have 2 small kids. And she's like, you know, my husband got laid off, and she's like, and not knowing how long it's gonna last adds to the fear of, you know, come a certain point, they'll no longer have insurance. And how does that work when you have, you know, your family? You're like, we don't know what we're gonna do. And even when the hotel industry is up and running, the question is gonna be, are all of those people who have been laid off, are they coming back? At this rate, it probably not. And so that's really scary for a lot of families. So not just the way that COVID impacts us in our physical being, you know, making some people sick, but others, it's impacting them for extended amounts of time if their income doesn't come back.
We definitely live in a society where we have the hotel industry and we have students that are about to graduate and they're going into this field and they will be impacted. Even students that are graduating from our field of higher education, a lot of our states are on hiring freezes, and we're about to see a lot of educated individuals not be able to find a job. And I feel like this is like throwing us back to when I was in high school and when the 08 stock market crashed.
08 happened. That was my senior year. 08, 09, that was my senior year. And I remember my mom was so blessed because during that time it didn't affect her. But boy, I have so many friends who were like had parents who had good jobs and doing realty and everything. Boy, it was bad. I remember how bad it got.
Me, I was working in the mortgage industry at that time. And the entire company that I worked for, like it started with layoffs. And so all of those loan officers, at that time I worked with the general counsel, but one by one started laying people off. And then one day folks showed up to work and the doors were just locked. Like that was rough time.
Wow.
But yeah, this is a throwback to that, and in a greater magnitude, because the numbers of people that are going to be impacted, we don't yet know how this is going to trickle down and for how long industries are going to be impacted by what's happening right now.
That's true. That's true. And like but I will say, but especially for us being in higher education, this put another layer of reality to our students and to us, because we have to be very thankful, and people have to, and not just be thankful, but be mindful of the careers we choose. Because with some people, some careers you're gonna be fine. With others, you're not gonna be able to do certain things. Like I watched the other day, you know how all of us love to travel and watch and go to concerts. Ticketmaster has to do a huge refund. And I'm like, oh my God, like it's that serious to where even our famous entertainers, some of them may not take a huge hit, but this is how they live by using ticket, by going to the concerts, by going here and there. Now you're looking at a huge loss, and it's like, damn, what's gonna happen? Like, what does that look like for all these industries? Like we're talking about, like hospitality, how UNLV highlights that. What do you do? What do you do after this? Like people are not going to want to go into these career fields because it's like, man, if a pandemic happens, I know I'm not in job security. Sorry.
how will amusement parks ever open? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The happiest place on earth, but how does that happen in this new reality of COVID?
Yeah.
How do we go to Universal Studios and Disneyland and Knott's and all of these places? How do they reopen?
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to be in a new normal where things are definitely going to be different. I know, like, just going to the grocery store, you can't really do like those bags of oats or bags of beans or bags of rice. Like, it's already pre-done for you, which is amazing. And like, they're going to learn tips and tricks that they should keep. Like, we go to Cardenas and they have bolillos. Well, now bolillos are like a type of bread. Now you can't just grab them yourself. They're pre-bagged for you, which is amazing. Continue to do that. Stop the germs even when they weren't as intense as they are right now. So they'll learn practices that are keepers. But I definitely think that our new normal is going to be a different new normal. And it's just us learning. But I think at the end of the day, we're definitely going to I remember going back to the 08, 09. People were like, why are you going away to school? You'll never be able to find a job. That's a waste of money. You're going to pay to go to college. And it was always installed in me. You're going to college, you're going to get your degree, and you'll be able to do something. And I think our students just need to know that they just need to persevere, continue shooting for the stars, continue working towards their dreams, and not let people take jabs at them. Because at the end of the day, we are going to find our new normal.
Yeah. And this is going to be much like those of us who can remember pre 9/11, traveling, going through airports. What we experience today in airport security didn't used to be.
No.
It's completely different. And 9/11
so smooth. I remember young and you just go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. And so now, those kids who are growing up, right now in this COVID age, there's going to come a time where, they're going to go to grocery stores and the checkers are going to have those plastic things around them. And they will never remember a time when checkers didn't have that. And then folks like us will be like, we remember when we could talk face to face with the people checking out the groceries without plastic in between us. That may be one of the things that stay after this crisis ends.
I'm interested to hear the conversation because going back to 9/11, I remember what I was doing when the first tower was hit. I was in bed. We were woken up by my dad. He's like, come downstairs, watch the news. It was a solemn day. My sister and I are 6 years apart. And my sister, when she was in high school learning about 9/11, was asking questions. And I was like, Monica, you were alive when this happened. But it didn't register that she was 3 years old. So she truly didn't understand. So I'm interested to see the historical take on this. Me being a history buff, I love history. So I'm interested to see the historical impact of this and what our children will be saying about this.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, it was extended summer vacation. I got to play outside and jump on the trampoline all day. That's my
yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. Right now, that's how I feel. I'm like, man, this just feels like summer vacation where, all right, it was too hot to go out between particular times, but then you went outside, you played football from like 4 to 7. But you would in the morning like, oh, I'm gonna spend the time over here at CJ house for the rest of the day. Like that's what we did. That's how it feels like. That's why I'm like, when people like, I know people now who are like losing it that they can't go anywhere. And I'm like, man, if you remember those times when we were younger, when our parents had to work, they did not want us roaming the streets like that. They did not want us roaming the streets. And if we were bad, we were roaming them streets, and you weren't supposed to get.
I think my kids are going to remember that was the year I got to Zoom my cousins every single day. They've been having little people Zoom meetings. Every day, they're making up games. Yesterday, they were playing hide and seek via Zoom. I'm like, how? What is going on right now? But I think that's what they'll remember is, the time that they got to play and didn't have to go to school. Those that I really feel for are the seniors. whether it's high school, college, those graduates, I know how much I looked forward to wearing that cap and gown, walking across the stage, sitting through the long, boring ceremony because I earned it, and knowing that, this class of 2020 is not gonna experience this in a traditional way, or at a traditional time for those who are just delaying their graduation to another time. But I imagine what that will look like, because I believe Clark County said they're delaying theirs till like August, September. So I don't know how that works for those high schoolers who are going away to college. Is the expectation, are they flying back into Vegas to participate in their high school graduation? What does that look like?
Yeah.
I have some. Go ahead. Sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
Sorry, Sean. I was just going to say, and the graduation isn't just for families. I mean, isn't just for the student. It's for families. Like,
I know.
This is monumental. Like, this is a thing that like families go through. And I remember that with my graduation from San Diego State with my bachelor's degree, I did the work, but I didn't do the work alone. It was the work of the family. So when I walked across the stage and my name was read, this was an accomplishment for the family. And so I can only imagine that the families are wanting to see their students graduate as well.
And how many of those are first generation? So no one in their family has ever graduated, and here was the first, and now this. So I know that's super disappointing. Now I was asking my son the other day, I was like, because he's a senior, and we've ordered like the cap and gown and the graduation announcements. I'm like, what? Are those coming to the school? Like, how do we get that stuff? We paid for it. Hopefully you'll get to use it at some point in time. But how do we even get it?
Yeah.
Because I was like, we're still going to send it out. Graduation is a great time, y'all, to get some money from your family members. That's what I remember at graduation time. Send me some cash to help me start off.
I have some youth group kids that I've mentored that are seniors this year, and I've watched them from like 7th grade all the way till now. And I feel bad because I've had other kids that I've mentored over the years, and they watched them go to graduation. They watched them get the scholarships, because my fraternity, as y'all know, I'm a part of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We always give away $45,000 to $50,000 to all of our seniors and seniors in the community. And now for them, it's their senior year, and they're like, bro, this sucks. I'm like, I don't know what to say to them, because I'm just like, no, it does. But the thing I tell them, I'm like, this is reality. This is what happens in real life. And there's nothing they're gonna be like, oh, we're so sorry. You can never get this moment back. And that's why for them, I teach them like, hey, you appreciate every moment you get. You better appreciate it, because some moments are going to be taken away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's fun to see how the community is coming together during this, though, because I think we were talking this morning as a family that TikTok is going to try to do a virtual prom for seniors, for high school seniors. Yeah. So it's cool to see that different platforms are trying different things to help celebrate our seniors. And I know that yesterday Dr. Z even talked about CSN graduation and how the students have spoken and they still want that graduation in person. So it's fun to see that our institution is going to be moving forward with the in-person graduation in the future.
I agree wholeheartedly. Man.
Any further thoughts on this COVID crisis?
I will say that if there's anybody out there, just stay prayed up. If you don't pray, meditate. If you don't do that, just continue to send the positive vibes throughout the world, man, because everyone needs it right now. It's a tough time, and I know it's crazy to me because I haven't seen some of my friends and my colleagues since this whole thing's happened, and we've lost people along the way that either was caused or not, or but just got heightened because of COVID-19. And so I just send positive vibes. I pray for everyone. I hope that people can make it through, and I know we will make it through. We will persevere. Much love to everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is episode 1, and we're gonna keep bringing that fire to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Tops to the T, everyone. Tops to the T. Bow. And we'll catch y'all next time. Thank you.